Welcome to the Morning Trek Power Hour. I am Dr. Andrew Scaff. He is Dr. Michael Werman, Esquire. On today's show, we'll get into the Royals' still pretty good start for the year, maybe cooling off a bit, but still playing quite well. And we'll get into the NBA and NHL playoffs a little more. Mixed results for us so far, but we'll kick off today's show with some NFL offseason news. It turns out today we found out that Rashee Rice may be in a little more trouble with the law for Kansas City. Do you think we're going to see him play this year, or do you think the Chiefs are planning on sort of playing the season maybe without him entirely? What's your take on this, Mike?
Um, it's hard to say. I guess before this little incident with I don't know, maybe he's not saying little incident, whatever this incident with the photographer, it seemed like a lot of people were saying that maybe he'd miss 6 to 8 games even.
Yeah.
And so if you add this onto it, it might be more, but it also might turn into nothing. It might turn into like that, Tyreek Hill situation with the guy at the marina when he supposedly slapped that guy, and I don't think any disciplinary action was taken. Maybe I don't know, maybe a fine or something. But
I don't think there was a
so
hospital visit involved either with the recipient of the slap, I guess, too. So
yeah,
presumably,
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't remember the exact details of
no.
it, but um, so yeah, this incident is not good. I don't know if it's because maybe Rice is being harassed because of his dealings in the car and everybody's getting on him, or he's just maybe a hothead. I don't know. I remember there was some video of him during the Super Bowl and with him and Patrick Mahomes kind of getting on one another. I don't know if you remember seeing that footage.
Hmm.
Um
I did notice that.
I saw it recently. I don't know if it was maybe it was good. I couldn't tell what the context was, so it's hard to say what they were. Maybe they were encouraging one another, maybe they were. It looked to me like they were arguing a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know what Rice is up to. I'm thinking the Chiefs. They brought in two new receivers
At least two that we know of already.
so far.
Yeah.
They Hollywood Brown, and they drafted Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
Is it pronounced Xavier, or is it just Xavier? And people say Xavier because they don't know how to say Xavier.
I'm
Yeah,
not sure. I just assumed it was Xavier. I didn't even think about it being X.
I've heard people say Xavier, but I don't know if that's simply because they don't know how to say uh, Xavier, or if that's how Xavier Worthy pronounces it. I'll call him Xavier until I hear otherwise.
Yeah,
But
that's fair.
um, I have a sneaking suspicion it's Xavier though. But um, but they've also lost. They don't have Hardman. They don't have MVS anymore. So they've brought in two where they've lost two. So that means that basically Rice is expected to kind of still be there, but if they expect to lose Rice, they'll have to bring in somebody else unless they think that, somebody from the practice squad, or, Justin Ross or somebody is like one of the fringe guys. I guess they also like Ricky James from last year. So there's been a few people that have been on the roster that they lost. It seems like the only ones left we have are, um, Justin Watson, Kadarius Toney, who was supposed to be maybe the number one receiver last year coming into the league, into league play, but he was injured in the preseason, had that awful first week, and then kind of got worse from there. And he was I don't know if a healthy scratch, or was a scratch at least during most of the postseason. And also there was um, so who else is there? Just Sky Moore, who's been kind of
Mm.
underwhelming in his first 2 years, to say the least.
Kind of disappeared as the season went on last year too.
Yeah, he seemed like one of those players that never could quite react well to what Mahomes is doing, improvising and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, he didn't have the huge mistakes he had in his rookie year, but he also wasn't really returning kicks anymore.
Mm.
Um, so it's Yeah, I don't. There's Nico Remigio or Justin Ross. These guys on the practice squad, Cornell Powell. This kind of guys they've had for a while. Maybe they could step up, but it seems like maybe Chiefs might need a person, especially if they think Rice is going to be gone for a significant time. I
Yeah.
don't.
Well, it
They
seemed
like
like, yeah,
Justin Fields.
maybe 2 games was like the absolute minimum before, probably more like 4, but possibly even more, right? And with the back-to-back thing, now there's a second thing before the first punishment has actually been handed out. That tends to look poorly on the league if they don't come down hard now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. You could say the tight end room also has maybe more to it than they did last year, simply because they drafted Jared Wiley, who looks really good coming out of TCU. He was a like Travis Kelce, a high school quarterback, and he's tall, big, good receiver. They also brought in Irv Smith Jr., a former second round draft pick from the Minnesota Vikings just a few years ago. He's still only 25 years old. So they lost, I guess, or they haven't re-signed Blake Bell. Jody Fortson, who's been was seen as this kind of great next guy up, pass catching tight end, who's always hurt though, is also gone. But maybe those four, with Noah Gray, Kelsey, Smith, and Wiley, can be, maybe make up for some of that receiver and have more two tight end sets and things like that. Or you say,
yeah,
well, if Darius Tony kind of lives up to his potential, um,
maybe all
maybe,
this is moot anyway.
yeah. So it's hard to say what. Yeah, it's also been shown that the Chiefs don't need excellent wide receiver play to do well. They won the Super Bowl last year with perhaps the worst group of wide receivers in the league, at least during the regular season. They came together in the playoffs pretty well. So, but
Well, at least in Mahomes' era for the
mhm,
Chiefs, it was the weakest wide receiver group.
yeah, they didn't have, yeah, they had a lot of drops. They had a lot of
Yeah.
other errors that led to points for the other team, or Tony being off sides, where they lost the Bills game because of that. They lost the Lions game because of Tony as well. They lost 2 or 3 games there, simply because they didn't have good wide receiver play.
Yeah.
And I hope that's not going to happen again. So, and it seems like when the Chiefs want to correct something, they kind of overcorrect it. Like they had
Mm.
the offensive line problem in the Super Bowl against Tampa, and they brought in all these new guys. Um, Within a year or two, to bolster the offensive line. Most of those guys are still there, either drafted or picked up. Orlando Brown is gone, but Tooney and Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith are there. So,
Yeah.
and the Chiefs, maybe are a little weak in the tackle position this year, depending on Su Mataia and Wanya Morris, how they do on the left side, or if Jawan Taylor might move left, or if Lucas Niang has anything left, or who knows. But yeah, but back to Rice, I guess that's a big question mark. And you think that, historically the Chiefs, when they've had those question marks, they try to correct for it. Like when you mentioned only last week or 2 weeks ago, when Tyreek Hill was having potential legal issues, and they thought maybe he would be suspended. They drafted Mecole Hardman basically as a Tyreek kind of replacement, somebody who's really fast and he can run some of the Tyreek plays.
As a
Um,
hedge, basically, just in case.
yeah.
But then Hill didn't have to miss an
Mhm.
extended period of time, so they haven't had both guys.
Yeah, and Hardman played well. At least he had some big moments here and there in his career for the Chiefs. He never quite lived up to his reputation, but or not his reputation, his draft status maybe, or his what people thought he was going to be, especially since certain players drafted near him, like DK Metcalf, became big stars.
No.
That was a deal, but yeah, it's you kind of want, one of the things, there are fewer and fewer free agent wide receivers out there now. Odell Beckham just signed with them the Dolphins on a pretty team friendly deal. I think it was like $3 million plus incentives might get him up to 8.5 million. The Chiefs could probably afford that. Chase Claypool went to um, Buffalo. Maybe you could say that's probably good. The Chiefs didn't try to get Claypool since he's been sort of a head case. I don't think maybe they have enough kind of head case wide
Yeah,
receiver already with uh, Tony and Rice. So
maybe
maybe if
more too, even with the drops and everything too, right? The
yeah,
kick returning issues and stuff like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe there's room for that for Louis Reese Zamet in there somewhere, or
I was just going to ask you if you thought he was going to factor into this too, with the Welsh rugby player was going to have an
I
effect.
think mainly he's going to be used probably on special teams as a kind of returner.
Yeah.
That would be my guess because I think the way they line the new kickoff rules seem to be a little bit more rugby-like,
Mhm.
and he might do something like that. Or maybe he could also be I'd say could be maybe in the kind of fullback H-back kind of role where he is thrown the ball short passes kind of in space and see what he can do because he's very good at running in space and kind of when guys are coming after him from different angles, he seems to take the right angle a lot of the times. So
Yeah.
maybe a little bit he's like maybe a faster kind of Travis Kelsey in terms of his running style, maybe.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so
Kelsey always seems to turn the right way out of his catch.
mhm.
No matter which way he turns, it seems to be the defensive players think he's going to go the other way every time. It's pretty amazing how often he does
Yeah, and
that.
he has a way of kind of sneaking through cracks in the defense and just kind of getting extra yards and turning the corner when he needs to and
Yeah.
finding extra space. And yeah, he's uncanny with that. So yeah, that's also maybe something that hopefully that Wiley can learn from and do with Kelsey, who has recently signed his a new contract with more money. We talked maybe about that last week, I think.
Briefly
Uh,
mentioned it last week. Yeah. Is all.
yeah, now the highest paid tight end again in the league. But I think the Chiefs have a little bit of cap money still. I think maybe $15 million or something like that. So that's enough to find somebody, or maybe if somebody like a cap casualty gets cut by one of these other teams, the Chiefs could pick up one of those players too. So
No.
um, yeah, it's still very we're still pretty far away from even training camp. They had the rookies mini camp and things like that. So there was some footage I saw there of the different players working out, but it's just working out. It's hard to say what's actually going on, but
This is where you get to hear about the equivalent to the spring training in baseball, where you hear who so and so is in the best shape of their life, and
mm,
bringing a whole new like attitude to the season, and everybody's ready to go, and yeah,
yeah, this is sort of pitchers and catchers reporting when it's the rookies that are coming in, and
yeah,
there's
best shape
new
of their
like
life though, right?
yes, all those unsigned free agents as well that might be the next Ricky Vaughn or Willie Mays Hayes types of players, picked off, from unknown parts and
Yeah,
who knows, scouting, deep scouting and things like that. So we'll see how it turns out. Um, yeah, I don't. Do you have anything else to add for the Chiefs? I think we've kind of exhausted our possibilities this week with what they've done, but they have, basically we know that Rice has been uh, in trouble once again. It seems like, and now we're extrapolating quite a bit from that. But
from the
we'll
tiny amount of that we've actually heard so far, the story just broke a few hours ago, I think.
yeah. This is
Us, at least.
Tuesday broadcasting, and it happened on Tuesday afternoon, basically. I think so.
Well, it may have actually happened on Monday, but
But the story
story
developed on
broke on Tuesday afternoon. Yes.
yeah. So we'll find out what happened, more about what happens with that next week. But in the meantime, do we want to switch gears and talk a little bit about instead move from the preseason to the playoffs, as Jim
Playoffs?
Mora famously said, "Is Jim Mora still alive?"
I don't think so.
I think he is, isn't
Senior. I thought he died a couple years ago. Maybe I'm wrong.
he? I thought he was in a commercial somewhere. He's 88 years old, Jim Mora.
Ah, yeah.
He's 88 though, so he's pretty old.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
from California.
Playoffs. Because of that press conference, do you hear that word?
Differently.
Jim Mora's like exclamatory version of it every time someone says playoffs. Do you hear it that way now?
I hear it up there kind of with yeah,
Practice?
practice. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, it's up there um with yeah, we're talking about practice, man. Uh Practice. I'm not talking about the game. With that, Allen Iverson's practice rant is, I think,
Yeah.
those are two of the more memorable ones that were based on a single word. I think
Right.
playoffs and practice. Uh, yeah, yeah. So that's what I'd say. Yeah.
Yes.
But Jim Mora is still up. Jim Mora Jr. is, of course, still.
Also
Well,
still
not Jim Mora Jr. So Jim Mora Sr. is Jim E. Mora, James Ernest Mora, and his son is James Lawrence Mora, who
Yep.
is now the head coach at UConn football.
Oh.
He was the coach of UCLA. He had been the Falcons coach, uh, uh, the Seahawks coach at one point even. I forgot he was the Seahawks coach for a season.
Just
He must
one
have done
year.
he must have done really badly for 2009 Seahawks. They were 5-11. He got fired after 1 year. It was
Yeah.
after Mike Holmgren left and before Pete Carroll, I guess, came. So Jim Moore
Yeah.
was the uh, coach then. His last head coaching job his last coaching job in the NFL at all was in 2009. And then he became UCLA coach, and then since 2 years ago, he's been the UConn head coach. I'm not sure what happened to him. Okay, he was a Fox Sports commentator briefly and ESPN commentator briefly
Hmm.
at times, but yeah, he led the Falcons to the NFC Championship game in his first season as coach, but he has not. It seems like he didn't get many chances. I wonder what happened with why didn't what, it doesn't seem, it seems like he would have. He's 62, so he's probably not going to get a new head coaching
Probably
chances.
not.
But he
You
was
never know though. I mean, if UConn does well for a couple years, he may get some
he had
interest.
a winning record as coach in Atlanta in 3 seasons, 26 and 22. Although his teams got a little worse each year, and then he was 5-11 in Seattle. So he's 31 and 33 overall. Um, he was 46 and 30 at UCLA. But his teams started out good. Last couple seasons weren't so great, but it's I'm a little surprised that I don't know, maybe there's something about maybe he rubs people the wrong way. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Uh,
Well, that's
but
kind of a big. He was an assistant head coach and the secondary coach for Seattle after he left Atlanta.
mhm.
So not a coordinator position, but like an assistant head coach position, which is
Yeah,
maybe
but
a
then he
big
became head
jump.
coach after that. So
But then he was, but only for a year, and then out
yeah,
again. No, I don't know. It's probably
yeah.
good that he went to college to the college ranks anyway. So
Mhm.
if you're trying to get back, that's probably the way to do it. rather than, taking endless coordinator positions.
Mhm. Yeah, he became an offensive assistant with UConn before he became coach. So he switched sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Um, yeah, I'm trying to see if there's anything about. Uh, I guess he had one. Maybe the Falcons seem to think that um, maybe he was about to leave or wanted to leave for the University of Washington head coaching job that he really liked. So maybe they didn't think he was serious about being
Hmm.
as coach. It says that in 2006, Atlanta had high hopes, and they were 7-6 at one point, but then they lost their last three games and missed the playoffs with a 7-9 record.
Hmm.
But while they were still alive in the playoffs, Mora had an interview where he was talking about the University of Washington coaching job and that he would um, take that if that was offered. So maybe that's why he,
Yeah, it doesn't tend to help.
yeah. And then he went to Washington for Seattle, but yeah, a little, yeah. So,
Hmm.
but Jim E. Mora, he was the Saints and Colts head coach uh, in the NFL. He was also the coach of the Philadelphia slash Baltimore Stars of the USFL. Do you remember any of the USFL games or playing in the early to mid 80s from 83 to 85?
No. Do you?
I vaguely remember hearing about some of those teams. Uh,
I remember that it existed, but I don't remember watching any of it.
yeah, the New Jersey Generals were I think that was was it the Donald Trump team that he owned?
Hmm.
He owned at one point. So
No, don't know.
yeah, it was. Yes, Donald Trump owned the New Jersey Generals. And there's a picture of Doug Flutie and Donald Trump together on the Generals Wikipedia page.
Great.
But yeah, that was kind of a big like the USFL, the original USFL, it got like good attendance and it was like, it was pretty big for a couple of years. And they took a lot of the major like the big college stars like Jim Kelly and Steve Young and Doug Flutie played for the USFL before they played for the NFL.
Yeah.
Walker was the USFL. Um, People like that. So it was actually a like a it was somewhat of a competition to the NFL, but
Hmm.
I think that was before um, the I think the USFL was one of the first to like be able to take people before they graduated from college or were seniors in college. So they got Herschel Walker and people like that before. But anyway, I don't know.
No G League though.
What?
It's no G League though.
The G League. The NBA G League. Yeah. I still think of it as the D League, but I guess it's been the G League for 7 or 8 years.
For the right amount of money, Mike, is what it was.
Yeah. It stands for the NBA Developmental League
Yes.
for Gatorade.
I think
Yeah.
it's Gatorade, isn't it? Yeah.
Gatorade, yeah.
For the right amount of money and converted from the D League to the G League.
Have you been to any Iowa Wolves games in the G League?
I never went to a Wolves game, no.
They're still playing. They were the Iowa Energy, now they're the Iowa Wolves.
Yeah.
Um,
Never went to a Wolves game when I lived in Iowa. But I don't think they were that they may have just been getting started, I think, even when.
Former Iowa State guard Gabe Kalshur is on the Iowa Wolves.
Yeah,
Um,
that makes sense. Close to
yeah,
home.
I don't know anybody. I don't know any of these players.
No, why would you?
Yeah. The coaches of those Iowa Wolves don't even have the most recent coaches of the Iowa Wolves don't even have Wikipedia pages of their own. So,
Wow.
but they are the Timberwolves NBA affiliate. They switched to the Wolves. They were the Energy. They were several affiliates before that.
Well, it used to be kind of weird anyway because they didn't always have a single team that it fed into. Sometimes it was multiple teams that one team, one G League team would feed into.
Yeah, yeah. G League would have like half of them would be for one team and half of them would be
Right.
for
Yeah.
a team.
But now I think just about every team has their own developmental team that they can pluck from.
Yeah, there are 31 G League teams, so there must be 30. I think are there 31 NBA teams or the 32?
I think there's 32, but maybe one team decided they didn't want to have a developmental team, or two teams combined to one. I don't know. Yeah, who doesn't have one?
The Phoenix Suns are the only NBA team without a G League team, it says.
Really? That seems
Uh,
weird. Why would they not?
I don't know.
Everybody
They
else is doing it. Why wouldn't they do it?
owned the Northern Arizona Suns, but they sold to the Detroit Pistons, in 2020 became the Motor City Cruise. But now in February, they announced that they would be joining the G League for next season with a
Hmm.
new team based in Phoenix. That was weird. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Huh.
Learned something today.
Strange.
Yeah, so they're gonna have one. So it's gonna be in, yeah, gonna be in Phoenix. So if you were the Suns, what would your G League team be nicknamed? What would the nickname be? Yeah, the Suns already. Would it be the Moons? Would it be the um planets? You know what well it's kind of something related. You
You
can't be
might,
like
I
this.
mean, you could go like, the sun is a like radioactive ball of fire, essentially, right? So maybe they would go something like what was the minor league baseball team from The Simpsons?
The Isotopes. We have the Albuquerque Isotopes,
Yeah.
Dodgers affiliate. Well, they were the Dodgers affiliate for a while, because the episode where the team threatened to move uh, to Albuquerque, and Homer found out before they had announced it, and he went on a hunger strike, and everybody tried to deny it. But uh, but Albuquerque also was the Isotopes because of their atomic past
Right.
with the uh,
The testing
Alma
grounds and stuff, yeah.
uh, testing Los Alamos project and things like that. Yeah,
Yeah. So
Los Alamos.
what is this
It doesn't have a nickname yet.
oh. So you mean you're gonna throw out a name you're submitting it to win a
Yeah,
contest probably is what you're aiming for here.
yeah. I think
But it's
let's see.
based in the same city too, you said. It's gonna be
Holding.
in Phoenix?
Yeah, they're holding a contest. Yeah, it's in Phoenix as well. Maybe it's gonna be like in Glendale or something, or in,
Yeah. That seems strange though to have your developmental team literally in the same town.
so they have a nickname contest, but it looks like it's over. It was over in February, so they
Hmm.
still haven't announced it yet. Maybe they wait until after the playoffs,
Yeah.
but
You're gonna have
the
to
Sun,
pour through the all the trademark filings to see if you can find out what it's gonna be. Not right now, but in the
yeah,
period between now and our next episode.
yeah. I think the Phoenix, I think the Moons probably isn't used.
The sun and the moon,
Yeah, um,
the suns and the moons.
something like that. Yeah,
No.
that's probably been or satellites would be an okay team. It would also be more sort of literal of what they do. They sort of orbit around and
Yeah.
become.
That works.
Or I think just Phoenix G League basketball team would be a
The
funny name.
Phoenix team.
Yeah, like the Washington football team was. Yeah, NFL team.
Probably a
Um,
better name actually than what they landed on.
yeah. Well, speaking of the NBA, the playoffs are going on. Um, whether or not Phoenix is going to name their G League team during the playoffs or after the playoffs. Um, I guess the Stars might be another uh, sort of it's sort of generic, um, but so speaking of the Western Conference, the Suns are out, and it looks like our pick for the Western Conference champions, last year's NBA champions, the Denver Nuggets are on the ropes. It looks like in their second round series, conference semi series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. They lost the first two games at home. They're down 2-0 already. Do you think the Nuggets are going to come back?
Usually losing your two home games to start the series is a death sentence. But they are the defending champs and they have been a formidable team. So I mean, hopefully they'll still be able to like put up a fight, but it's not looking very good for them at all right now.
Yeah,
They
the
did get
Timberwolves.
the Lakers pretty easily, and the Lakers are in disarray again and have now fired their coach. And
Yeah.
you know, these are things that happen after you get destroyed by Denver 2 years in a row. So
Mhm.
now, yeah, now Denver's on the ropes though. So what's your guess? Are they going to come back, make it a series, or are they going to bow out quickly?
Um, I think they'll make it a series. I don't know if they'll win it. I'd say maybe they take it to 6 games. But if they take it to six, is it if it's 2-2? Yeah, if they take it, like if it was 2-3-2, I'd like their odds taking it to a sixth game, because then they'd be back at home. But if it's 2-2-2, which 2-2-1-1-1, 2-2-2-2-1-1-1, that would mean that they would have to win basically one out of the next two or two out of the next three away games that they play, to just get it to come back. And I guess that would to get it to come back to home on seventh game. So rather than I don't know, it's iffy, I think, because Minnesota has some really good players. Karl-Anthony Towns has been really good.
Mhm.
Um, and then some other guys score a lot of points too. So I yeah, I don't know. I think they'll I think it won't be a sweep. I don't think they'll go out easily. But I think they'll at least make it interesting. Our Eastern Conference teams are doing much better. Uh,
Yes.
so far, well, we've only played one game each, but the Celtics, who I picked, and the Knicks, who you've picked, are both up 1-0 in their series. So um, they may be on a collision course to play each other in the Eastern Conference Finals. So we have that to look forward to. I don't know if there's any real analysis we can do of those. There's only been one game in each series. They've been at home, so
Right.
but we still don't have any.
Denver is very surprising though to drop those
Yeah,
two games.
and they got blown out in the second game.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've Denver's not eliminated yet, but we do have actually two teams, one team each in our NHL playoffs who are eliminated.
Yes.
Of them were knocked out in the game in seventh games, and 2-1 scores in the seventh games. I think your Las Vegas Knights lost late in the third period. My Toronto Maple Leafs lost in overtime. Uh, so the Knights are out, and the Leafs are out. So we each have only one team remaining in the NHL playoffs. Uh, I have the Edmonton Oilers, and I believe you have the Florida Panthers. Um, so that's our, and I don't know what other NHL analysis do you want to do so far.
Yeah, I think
NHL it's
Florida
more of
dropped
a
their first game too, so like
yeah,
I'm a little bit on the ropes now from my last.
NHL games are more of a crapshoot than NBA playoff games because one goal here or there can really can decide everything.
Yeah.
Scoring is so much lower. It takes just one funny bounce of a puck to win a playoff game lots of times. So it's more unpredictable. But I did I think the my Eastern pick now would have been the Rangers since they dispatched the Capitals so easily. They're up in their series against I think it's against Boston. So, but
And it seems
but
like you've made a wise choice by not picking your Capitals.
I did. Yeah, I wasn't gonna do that. Yeah,
No.
no, no Capitals. But maybe the Caps next year will be better. Um, Speaking of better, it seems like the Royals are doing a lot better this year than they were last year, even if they blew a game tonight against the hated Milwaukee Brewers.
Yes.
Is what do you think the Royals? So the Royal, I guess the Brewers used to be an American League team, so the Royals did maybe have a little bit of a rivalry with them, but now they're in a National League team. What team do you think is the least rivalrous, if that's a word, with the Royals? Is there a team that you would say the Royals care about less than any other team?
Maybe
Or
like
as fans care about less than any other team?
I mean, maybe like the Rockies or something. There's like almost no interaction ever.
You could say the Rockies, though, like in terms of the state of Kansas, like Western Kansas might be part
Yeah.
Rocky, part Royals fans. So there's maybe a little bit of a rivalry in terms of geography
For
and
those 45 people that live like in Hayes, Kansas.
yeah. There's about 20,000 something people. It's a but yeah, out there in Colby, Kansas, or Goodland, or Dodge City, are
No.
they are they Rockies fans or are they Royals fans? It used to be the whole state of Kansas was Royals pretty heavily, and I
Yeah.
think probably the somewhat recent success of the Royals probably lured some of those fans back. If they had gravitated toward the Rockies in the 90s and early 2000s when the Royals were bad. But Nebraska used to have a lot of Royals fans. Maybe those are some Rockies people. Um, but yeah, I think it's got to be a National League team. I would
Yeah.
say maybe it's the Diamondbacks. You need to be I think it needs to be a relatively new team,
Yeah.
a team that would be in the National League.
That's why
Uh,
that's why I said the Rockies though. So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
not quite as new as
the
Arizona.
Diamondbacks,
Yeah.
and a little closer. I guess maybe I don't know if the Diamondbacks are more of a rival or a little bit of a rival because the Royals do play spring training in Arizona,
Hmm.
and that becomes part of it.
Eh.
I think the I think the NL Central, since the Royals played them the most, those teams are a little bit more and like because they're Midwestern and the Cardinals especially might even be the Royals' biggest rival, even though they aren't in the
Yeah.
same. Um,
That's just because it divides the state itself.
yeah,
Yeah. So also then do you think that the Royals find a sympathetic uh teams that are that play against St. Louis then? So are they pro Royals fans? Are they pro the other teams in the NL Central?
oh, I don't think so. I don't think they. I think they. Well, it depends. I don't think they like maybe some Royals fans like the Cubs a little bit because they're the rival, but I think they also the Royals don't like Chicago teams probably, but
No.
the White Sox. I guess the Cubs and White Sox are big rivals, so maybe like the Cubs a little bit. But I think they played the NL Central a little too much in recent interleague memory
Yeah.
to be um,
But they tend to do well in these interleague games, so
rivalry. Yeah,
it's hard to be too upset about any of the teams
the
that
Reds,
they
the
face.
Pirates. I'd say
Yeah.
Royals. Yeah, you don't see. And you could say, well, maybe the Royals Phillies they played in the World Series though in 1980. Same for the Royals Giants, Royals Mets. There are World Series
Yeah.
rematches could come up. Royals Cardinals, of course, did have a World Series. So I think
Yeah,
um,
but the correct team won, so it didn't matter.
old Royals Yankees rivalry was big. Royals.
Yeah,
I think any American League team, Royals A's, since they were both in Kansas City at one point,
no,
could be seen as a rival. But yeah, I'm leaning Diamondbacks as the least. Padres maybe is another
yeah.
team that's not.
Well, the Padres were kind of like similar. Like they came and they were an expansion team about the same time as the Royals,
Mhm.
and they've had
Yeah.
similar like trajectories of being not so great for long periods of time and
And the Padres
periods
haven't
of
won a
being
World
competent.
Series.
Right, right.
Yeah, I don't know. We can think about the least rivalrous, uh, but the Royals did lose to the Brewers tonight in a kind of gut-wrenching fashion, where they're up 5-3 in the ninth inning, and then they surrendered a three-run home run to lose 6-5, and now they're dropped down to 21-16 on the season.
Yep.
Still 5 games over 500. They were 3-3 on the week, but the teams in the division, most of them have been pretty good too. So they're tied for second, I think, right now in the division with Minnesota, and I don't think Detroit's too far behind.
Right.
So the only bad team is the White Sox in the division. So
Yeah.
the Royals need to hopefully not lose any more games that they should win. They've lost, I'd say probably two of their losses this week were games that they should have won. One of the Blue Jays losses, or one of the Rangers losses, and
One of the Rangers losses, and
and then this last Brewers loss.
was another bullpen implosion that cost them a game late, and
Are
then
you?
and then the silly 10th inning ghost runner scenario,
Yeah.
which
When's
neither of
that
us are fans of. So
And we don't need, it's not COVID anymore. We don't need to get the games over. The games are already going really fast. We don't need to get them done any faster in extra innings.
yeah, well, and like a 13 inning game doesn't, you know, move the average time of all of the games that far away. It's not that big of a deal. So if one game goes 4 hours, like who cares? Like it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I don't think that matters. I don't like the ghost runner, the bequeathed runner. But are you worried about the bullpen, is there any other part of the team that worries you more? Like say the outfield. Are you worried about the way that the
I think
outfield has been very unproductive?
yeah, the bullpen itself probably is okay. Bullpen usage by the, decision making and the management, usage of the bullpen has not been great. Tonight's loss was not, I mean, they went to the closer and the closer gave up 3 runs. That's not a good sign usually. So, but that's not, there was no decision making that was, incorrect there, I don't think, by the manager. But to answer your question though, yeah, the outfield has not been terribly great, unproductive, and maybe partly due to some of the free agents that they signed have not produced, like Hunter Renfroe and perhaps his backup, sometimes platoon partner, Adam Frazier, has not really performed too well either. So that doesn't help.
The other Hunter Renfroe, the Chiefs maybe should look at the receiver Hunter Renfroe, but the
Yeah.
outfield Hunter Renfroe has been pretty bad so far. And he's hit a couple of home runs, but his average has been it's 155 or something like that right now.
Yeah, dipping into the 150s is never a good sign.
No, but he's not the only outfielder with the batting average behind under the Mendoza line. Melendez is under. He's at 185 or something like that, and Hampson I think is one something as well, maybe.
That'd be just over 200, but he's still not been good.
And Isbell's only slightly over 200
Yeah.
as well. So it's the outfield has been really the weak link. I think that's what when we were doing our analysis of the Royals season, we were saying that the outfield was going to be the weakest link. Velasquez also has not been hitting well. He's only maybe 217 or something like that right now.
Yeah.
So
And has not been showing the power that he showed last year.
is this the time maybe to bring up Drew Waters or Nick Lofton or some of these young guys to
Prado too. Yeah.
Prado to maybe bring a spark
Yeah, it
to
seems
the.
like you got to try something, but I don't think you want to do a whole lot all at once. I think you probably just want to minimize Renfro's playing time and maybe, throw one of these other guys in there a little more often just to. I mean, there's no point. There is literally no reason to have even signed Renfro, let alone be playing him this much. Like, he's not contributing anything, and he's not,
Yeah,
increasing any kind of trade value either. He's probably decreasing his trade value as the season's gone on. At least if they had used him as a pinch hitter occasionally, they could mask, some of the deficiency. His batting
yeah,
average would be this low. It would just be either zero or, some other number, but not a prolonged 150s. And it makes
yeah.
it harder to overcome that too as he goes on. So I mean, I don't know what the point is. So it seems like you should just cut your losses and move on, but they are paying him like 5 million plus this year.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
it's hard to just let go of that for nothing. What are you gonna do?
yeah. Yeah, it's it's something that it's a problem of their own creation that they didn't need to solve, and it was something that was not a problem. They made this problem, and it's something that the Royals tend to do a lot is bring in players that maybe are in front of their developing players, and they hinder that development, and then they also aren't very good themselves. So it kind of ruins two players. It's like sometimes it seems like it ruins the younger player for not developing them because they're uh, floundering in AAA for too long. Uh,
Mm.
it also kind of has a domino effect. It leaves guys in AA maybe for too long, and we don't if you don't need to bring in these kind of veterans that are I don't know, but I mean, we're kind of down on the Royals right now, maybe just because they lost tonight, but they're still much better than we thought they would be. But
Oh,
but
for sure.
there are signs that they could be even better than that, and maybe there are also signs that maybe they aren't going to be as good as they are right now, currently, and so maybe that's why we're a little bit pessimistic, I think, tonight.
Well, I think a lot of it too is just that they're still underperforming record wise from what their like run differential has been on the season. So even though they're in the upper half of teams in winning percentage, they still should be much higher than they are. They should be possibly leading baseball in record, but they're not close to that. They're not even they're like third in the division essentially by
Yeah,
percentage points at least anyway.
yeah,
So some of that is frustrating, even though they're playing much better. It's still frustrating at the same time.
yeah. So, well, hopefully next maybe what's
Well,
their schedule like next week?
and especially because they had this like great opportunity to just like have the philosophy of the letting the kids play basically about all these young talented players and getting to see how they develop all together as a group, and we don't quite get to see that. Like it's all there, it's right there. It's a great story, it's a great opportunity for marketing, even like not just the actual like fun of baseball.
Yeah. So it seems like the Royals have maybe an opportunity if they can beat Milwaukee tomorrow, they have an opportunity maybe to go on a little bit of a win streak because they go to the Angels, and the Angels have been one of the worst teams in baseball so far without Otani playing and with just, kind of probably a very frustrated Mike Trout. Uh,
Now he's injured and maybe out for another extended period of time.
yeah, so maybe that's they play the Angels. They also play the Mariners who've had trouble scoring runs. Home against the A's, home against the Tigers, with the next four series. So maybe these 2 weeks, there's a lot of seven road games, six home games, but you think, maybe the Royals, if they can finish, even 8-5 in those 2 weeks, that's, something pretty good and can be, built upon. And,
Well, if they could do that, they'd still have a winning record going basically into June then. So that's
yeah,
far ahead of any expectations, I think. Even the most forward-looking or hopeful Royals fans would have guessed for the season.
I think the Royals have already won more games now than they won through June last year. Even I think it seems like so. It's very close. It's very close to that.
Yeah, I think it
Uh,
was maybe 22, 23 wins max through June.
mhm.
And they're at 21 already, so that's not bad.
Attendance still hasn't been very good at the K. Is that? Do you think that's because of
Hmm.
partly because of the well, it's still school in session, but is it also because of the vote and wanting to move stadiums? Is there a little resentment there?
I think maybe a little bit. It hasn't helped the last weekend, at least. It was really rainy and cool. So like the temps haven't really like been that pleasant for fans to be outside and watching the games in person. That hasn't helped it either, but they
They
still have
got
been having giveaways and they seem to be popular at least anyway for
25,000, 26,000 fans Friday and Saturday, 20,000 on Sunday against the Rangers. So not too bad.
yeah, that's not so bad. I think a little of it has been weather though. And now that, colleges will be done here like this week and uh the secondary schools will be finishing up here in another couple of weeks too. So chances are if they keep winning, attendance will start growing then too. Have you been to any games this year anywhere?
No, I think the Royals do play in Pittsburgh later this season, so I think maybe I'll go to a game or two
Yeah.
playing in Pittsburgh if I get a chance. They already played at Baltimore, so I won't be able to go there. But um, yeah, that might be the game that I'd be able to go to. Cleveland's not too far. Sometimes maybe during the weekend, maybe I'll get to Cleveland, but see the Guardians. But no, my chance probably this year will be go to the game in go to one of the games in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Are
Have you
they
gotten to another game?
I've been to two games in Kansas City. And
Yeah,
they're 1-1 in those
one
two.
on one. They
Yeah,
lost opening day, but they won the second game that you were at.
that's right.
Who they play this? What game was that one?
Now I don't remember who they played.
It
I don't even remember who they played.
was dollar beer night or something.
It
You
was,
were
and
there.
I just don't remember what happened.
That's fine. Speaking of not remembering what happened, do we want to wrap up our uh, episode this week and hopefully do better next week?
Sure.
I think we've exhausted our topics as usual here on the Morning Trip Power Hour. This might be closer to one of the power hours that we've been aiming for lately, but that doesn't mean that we're trying to cheat you out of content. It just means we want to be streamlined and efficient, but also because there isn't a whole lot to talk about when there's we have the Royals, but we also I think we talk the most when it's the NFL season. Since we not only cover the Chiefs, we try to cover a lot of the other teams as well. So um, maybe once we get into the also the nitty-gritty of the NBA NHL finals, we can have a little bit more analysis of those um of those series as well. But we salute you for being our listeners or our viewers. And as always, I am Dr. Michael Werman. He is Dr. Andrew Scaff. We are the Morning Trek Power Hour. Please like and or subscribe to our YouTube channel and our podcasts. And you can, catch us each week very easily on those delivery systems. So we hope you also have an enjoyable weekend. Your teams do well. Oh, we didn't talk about the Kentucky Derby, where Honor Marie did not finish very well. He only finished in eighth place.
Ooh,
But as I did bet on Honor Marie, but I on FanDuel, but I got my money back because it was a first bet thing, so I didn't lose any. Um,
nice.
but as Marie said, he got eighth place. At least he didn't get 21st place, as she said.
True. It is true.
Yeah, 21th place.
Nice.
I don't know how many horses. Were there 20 or 20? There were 20 or 21 horses in
I don't
the
know.
race. But anyway, poor Anna Marie didn't win, but congratulations to the horses that did better, including Mystic Dan winning as the victor. It was a had an arrow lead over Forever Young and Sierra Leone, and it was a photo finish. So, but anyway, we've already done our closing spiel here on the One Trick Power Hour, so I won't go through that again as I sometimes do. So all I'll say is we'll wait for the Preakness, see what happens in the Preakness in a couple weeks, and we'll also talk more about the Royals, talk more about the Chiefs, talk more about the playoffs. And until next time, we bid you good day.